turd.
Quite a bit. Okay, folks, we're live with another episode of BS Busters. Thank you for joining. And today we're talking about something near and dear to my heart, which is some news stories of nothing but bullshit. So with that being said, before we dive further into it, let me get my gas mask. I'll let my other panelists introduce themselves. Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, thank you for coming to the Bullshit Busters. I'm Joe Moonstar, and get your fresheners. We're going to need it.
And this is PD Don from Video Game Facts. Boy, I got some BS that I wanted to bust.
Well, I got my gas mask, my shovel, and my waders. Let's get into it. So basically, I guess we can start with what I put up first, which is this is an article from What Culture Gaming. I will share this with my wonderful device. Oh, I've completely destroyed the picture. That's okay. Okay, as you can see now, 9 biggest necessities for the next generation of consoles for the players. Yeah, whatever. So I'm just gonna go over the headers. If you want to actually see this, it's on What Culture. So What Culture Gaming. Actually have a solid launch lineup. This is number 9 from, I guess, order from least to greatest. I really don't want to call it that because all of these are pretty important to these people. So I'm just gonna say 9. So basically, actually have a solid launch lineup. I think we can all agree that having a solid launch lineup when you launch a new console is important, right?
This is a no-duh.
But they say in this article, it speaks volumes that the 2 games that were supposed to represent the Xbox One and PS4's capacity as consoles were Rise, Son of Rome, and Knack. 2 of the most forgettable and ridiculed games around.
I almost forgot that Rise is a game.
Well, it is. It's not a very good game, but it's a game.
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't. It isn't very good. Neither. I say Rise is a little bit better than Knack because at least Rise is like a 15-hour game. You can beat Knack in 5 hours. It's a very short game. It's $60 for a 5-hour game. That is embarrassing at launch. Free online. I think we can all agree on that.
Right.
I had to look at the other 2 systems dragging Nintendo into this mess. But yes, I agree.
And I mean, basically, look, listen, I know that it doesn't cost anything to, I know that it costs money to run servers. Not a lot. It's not that expensive, but these companies want to make more money. Fair enough. But here's the problem, okay? In order for you to play most of these games online anyway, you need a decent online
Internet connection,
which you're already paying for with your internet service provider. So why the hell? You're basically paying double, right? You're paying double for these companies.
They could have used the money for, but they could have had us pay for any extra accessories for our online experience.
Yeah, but the online experience isn't commensurate with what they're charging. For example, Microsoft's been charging $30 to $50 for Xbox Live for years, and it's not really that good. I mean, it's serviceable, but it's not great. PlayStation Plus is a dumpster fire, and I'm sorry, I know people are gonna say you're a Nintendo fan, but I'm gonna just tell it like it is. Nintendo's online gets the job done, but their voice chat service is ass.
If anything, I prefer it that way, since that means there's other things to use besides their system.
Well, that's true, but here's the thing. When you start charging people online for online service, and you're like, they aren't charging now, but they're saying we're going to start charging for online services, and your voice chat is still ass, then what the fuck am I paying for? They're like, well, you can play these old games that have new features added to them. Don't give a shit. I have the original versions of these games. So you got to do better than that. Well, we have cloud saves. Wouldn't be a fucking issue if you had better storage on your device. You got to do better than that.
I'm gonna have to get on you a little bit for that, because that's with people wanting to download everything online and save pictures and stuff, taking up all that memory.
Not really. I mean, like the Switch comes with 32 gigabytes of memory.
And I'm able to not burn it all.
I mean, that's nice, but here's the thing. Sometimes people don't want to go physical. Like, I didn't go physical with Mario Odyssey. I bought it digitally, and it's only like 5 gigs. But let's say I get like 5 first-party Nintendo games digitally, which, I mean, I might, the smaller games. And then I get maybe 2 or 3 second or third-party games digitally. I'm done. I have to get a memory card. Why should I have to buy extra memory if it had decent memory to start with? It's like they're like, well, you need the extra space for clouds for backup cloud saves. It's a solution to an artificial problem, because it didn't need to exist this way. The problem didn't have to exist. Like, unlike some people, people like to say I'm a Nintendo fan, but I'm not gonna stick my head in the sand and be like, well, it's not like they aren't fucking up either.
Hey, Nintendo has problems, but it's the least amount of problems compared to the others.
They aren't fucking up as badly as Sony or Microsoft, but
they got their issues.
It's they aren't squeaky clean. That being said, let's move on to the next one that directly contradicts the 9th one, which was have a solid launch lineup.
Are you serious?
Dissolve exclusive.
Are you serious?
That's right.
Whoever wrote this article has no sense of ideal logic.
And this is what Rags would also agree on, because he hates exclusives and he wants all games to be under one system.
This is the equivalent of saying, hey, I want my wife to really, really, really be good at bed, have a lot of experience, but I also want her to be a virgin who's never been with a man.
You can't have both.
That's a self-contradiction.
Those things don't work together. Those two things don't work. They're mutually exclusive. Or if you're a woman, I want my husband to be really good in bed. I want him to have some of the best moves in the bedroom on the planet. But I also don't want him to have never been with a woman. They're mutually exclusive. They don't go together.
How the beep are you thinking this, people? It's not logical. Where's your CPU so I can fix it?
It's like you going up. It's like going up to someone and saying, "Hey, I want you to make a hamburger with meat that doesn't have meat in it." What?
I've heard the only way I can think that could actually work is with a bird burger, and I'm not sure how that's gonna taste.
No, there is a thing called the Impossible Burger that's made with soy protein and beet juice and other things that taste very much like a burger. It's the closest thing we're ever going to get thus far. It's still not a burger, though. You get what I'm saying? It's like, it's so basically he says, get rid of exclusives. They are anti-consumer and just tedious. Having to pick your console based on what games you want to play is tiresome. It doesn't encourage brand loyalty. It creates a divide. It's impossible for this to happen, as it would cause one of the two consoles to suffer incredibly. Exclusives are what drive a purchase of a particular console. No one cares about the hardware enough to jump ship. So exclusives are what sell a console. Someone should drop Microsoft the memo, but that's beside the point. I like how they keep on digging into Microsoft. Exclusives are incredibly anti-consumer and continue to push this us versus them mentality that's been prevalent in gaming for far too long. You mean since the beginning, right?
This is complete.
Tell me, how the people you supposed to have something to draw in the people if you have nothing to say that this can only be found here?
Because I remember, well, I don't remember because I wasn't alive, but I remember watching after the fact commercials with in old magazines with Billy Plimpton talking about how yes, the Intellivision looks. This is Atari's basketball. This is Intellivision's basketball. Which one looks more real to you? Like, I mean, like there's always been this us versus them mentality with gaming. I mean,
It's
every
called
single
competition.
company, yeah, that's just the way it is. It's the reason why certain people like the New York Jets over the New York
Yanks.
Well, no, another football team from New York.
Oh.
The Giants. You know, they're both New York teams, but one is clearly not like the other, and no one gives a shit about the Buffalo, the New York, the Buffalo, the New York Buffalo, the Buffalo Bills. Sorry, no one cares about them. Not since OJ was their running back. And finally, the guy says restricting the games that people can play simply for their choice of which black piece of plastic they bought is incredibly frustrating. Keep timed exclusivity if you must, but just let players play games and stop funneling people into two different camps. Wow, this was a wishful thinking plot right here. This was total wishful thinking. Those of you who are watching as an aside, if you want to leave questions in the comment section, we will get to those.
Eventually.
Yeah, we'll get to those. So just leave them in the comment section. We'll get to them. 6, don't go portable. Sony, Microsoft, under no circumstances, I repeat, no circumstances should you try to go portable. It is more likely to bury your console than anything else. Don't jump on Nintendo's bandwagon and stick to what you are somewhat decent at. The last time this happened, it was quite sad to watch. So just make a normal console. Just because it's a trend doesn't mean that it should be followed. Nintendo has a sticking power and the ability to experiment because of the fact that gaming is built around them. Jumping on the bandwagon will be transparent as glass, not to mention complete suicide. Trying to encroach on Nintendo's market and contend with one of the most popular consoles around isn't going to end well. It'll just end up like the Kinect and PlayStation Move, half-baked ideas that no one wants. I mean, I have to agree.
I agree with his caveats, at least as far as I know, because that seems like a warning shot.
And I also agree because of what happened in the past.
I mean, look at the Kinect. The only time that aping another console made that console successful was with the original PlayStation, which they just took the design ideas from the Super Nintendo and just brought it into the 5th gen. That's all the original PlayStation was. And a lot of money hatting so that exclusives would never hit a Nintendo console. And they still have not hit Nintendo consoles since. But that's just the way it is. Other than that, it's never happened. So let it go. Don't change the controllers. This might seem contradictory considering one of the previous points on the list, but this is less aimed at the PS4 controller and more at the PS3 one. There is no need to experiment with controllers as both consoles have their I guess no one at What Gaming proofreads theirs down to pat. The Xbox controller is perfect and the PS3 is as well. Stick to the designs that work and that people like instead of slapping a big old unnecessary button in the middle. It skews player muscle memory and is inconvenient. And don't you dare change the charging port so that we have to buy entirely new cables. Don't pull an Apple on us. Yeah, Apple is bad about doing that to people. Thoughts? I guess Jewel dropped. Your thoughts?
Let's see. My thoughts on the whole. Well, the changing controllers depends on what gimmick you're trying to do for your system to make it unique. Like if it's simple enough, then it'll surely become a success. But if it's too complicated, then it's gonna fail entirely.
I would normally agree with you, except for with one caveat. Even though we say that Nintendo's controller is really innovative, basically, even with the Switch and the Wii U, it's the same controller setup, except they add little bits and bobs to make it slightly different. Like what they're calling the HD Rumble with the Switch. Like, aside from that, though, it's basically, just get it down. I'm of two minds of it, because I'm kind of tired of just derivations of an SNES controller, which is what almost every other controller has been since then.
Right.
I would like for them to do something new, but maybe they won't. So, whatever. Guess we can move on to number 4. Free backwards compatibility.
This one, we can all agree is a good thing.
Yeah. I wish it was more. I'm tired of having to rebuy. Well, I know they want to sell their old shit to you again, like they do with everything else. But I personally don't want it. I'm tired of it.
And we can at least expect that the 3DS successor will at least have some backwards compatibility for 3DS titles.
Oh yeah, because they have to.
They have to attract the 3DS audience.
They want to carry over some of that 3DS audience, which is a smart move. Number 3, fixed trophies and achievements. How's it going, Jewel?
Got DC'd.
Yeah, fixed trophies and achievements.
I'll let you achievement hunters go for this one.
Well, I'm not an achievement hunter. I always felt they were useless. I know some people who are really into it, but it just seems stupid to me.
I'm a really avid achievement hunter, but in real life rather than video games. I create my own achievements to make my life harder than it is.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. But anyway, I don't see the point. I don't see the point of having achievements in video games, because most of the achievements that are in these games are too goddamn easy. Literally, I was playing an Assassin's Creed game and at my friend's house, and I started a new save, and literally you go and you open a window to sneak into a guy's house to kill him, and I got a bronze trophy on the PS4 for when a door closes, a window opens. It was literally one of the stupidest. I'm like, seriously, a trophy for opening a window? It's if the trophies. If they had trophies that actually meant that you had skill with the game, like if Legend of Zelda had a trophy where it's like, hey, you didn't die in any dungeons at any point in the game or outside of the dungeons, you have 0 deaths. Okay, that's an achievement. But even then, that's kind of stupid, because in past games, they had kind of in-game achievements where if you had a certain skill level, it changed the game. Like in Link's Awakening, if you didn't die in any of the dungeons, you got to see the best ending where Marin is turned into a bird, because that's a cool ending. Instead of letting her be a human being who travels around singing to people, just turn her into a damn bird. That's kind of horrific. But that was actual achievement, at least in my mind. Your thoughts?
I agree that achievements are supposed to be something that says that you did something that's pretty difficult, and
collecting every single
item.
Yeah, and you get an award for it.
Collecting every single item or doing massive amounts of damage to a boss by studying their weaknesses, you inflicted 60,000 points of damage in 20 seconds on a boss. Damn, okay, that's worth giving pot points to. I just played the game and walked down a pathway and shot a guy. That's an achievement.
Oh, you want to hear a real bogus one? You're probably going to have a rage on it, and you probably could already guess it.
No, what is it?
You started the game. Here's an achievement. 5 points.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. Okay, let's move to number 2. Cross-platform multiplayer.
This is on both third parties and the game develop and the system developers. Third parties for making these games, but the developers, Sony.
I think this is more of the platform holders because it's their infrastructure that's holding it back, not the developers. Because if a game has cross-platform play on PC to whatever console, then it should also theoretically have it to other consoles between each other, and that's up to the console infrastructure holder, which in this case is Sony, because Sony's like, look, if you want to play with your friends, they're gonna have to buy our system, and you're gonna have to play with them on our system. One reason why I probably will not be getting a PS4 anytime soon, if ever. Bastards. But continue.
So, as what Joel has alluded to, looking at you, Sony, with all your anti-crossplay antics.
Those bastards. People are gonna say, how can you say that about Sony? I had a lot of fun on Sony systems, but on one of the worst things that happened in the 8th gen was Sony getting the hardware lead, like in a huge commanding hardware lead, because they got arrogant. Here's hoping that in the 9th gen their next console flops so that they learn to not be arrogant.
Yeah, but then again, I bet you they're gonna give it to Microsoft since nobody wants to see Nintendo on the top.
I don't think Microsoft's going to make another console. I know people keep on saying, oh, they're going to make another. I don't see it. I just don't see it. They might make, if Microsoft does make another console, it's just going to be a unveiled Steam box. It's going to be it's basically going to be a Steam box, except it's going to cater more to Microsoft titles.
Didn't the Steam box already release and flopped?
Well, that's the thing. If Microsoft comes out with another console, because their consoles are already becoming more and more PC-like, which is why you're seeing more games that were on these consoles coming to PC, because the consoles themselves are more PC-like. It's easier to port them. What I think is going to happen is if Microsoft does release another console, it's just going to be it's just going to be a Steam box. It's basically going to be a mini computer that you can play games on. But it's going to be more catered towards the Microsoft side of programming. So it's going to be more x86 architecture and easier to use DirectX on. Because the problem with Steam is that Steam's architecture is based on Linux. And so basically, if you use the Steam OS, there's very few games that use Linux, that have a Linux build, because it's a completely different build it's a completely different programming language than x86 or x64. So
moving on to the last part of the list, and that is that's your cue, Mr. Red Fox.
He might be a little off right now, so we might have to fill in.
All right. So, Joel, anything you got to say?
I already, I'm going to say this right now. So, as I said, if we want good cross-platform gaming, then we have to be on both third parties and the system developers. Third parties just got it a little easier because all they gotta do is make the games in a sense that communicates to all systems. On the manufacturer side, as I hinted to earlier, really, Sony, really?
Yeah.
Well, aren't you surprised?
Well, no, the power went out. The power went out where I lived. It blinked on and off, so I had to switch to my cell phone.
Ouch.
Yeah, yeah.
Much worse than me getting the blue screen of death during our podcast.
Well, it wasn't so much that. It just kind of,
That I can understand. Anyways, to pick up on why I probably missed number 5, I got the note saying, seriously, isn't that how gaming got stale for ages? But then again, you guys corrected me on the fact that that's dependent on the people that make the games that made it stale, and not the controllers themselves.
Yeah. It's like basically the reason like stale gameplay is not so much the controllers. It's basically like just it's that it got easier to make games. It got easier to chase power and pretty graphics than to innovate how those games are made. Right? Like to me, the most innovative time for gaming was the 5th and 6th gen, because basically the systems had enough power for them to do things in new ways. And people had new ideas on how to make games. But then once the 7th gen hit, everything just became first person shooters, and it's like derivations of first person shooters, or whatever. Third person shooters, first person shooters, and now the big thing is MOBAs. Like everyone wants to do a MOBA. Whether something should be a MOBA or not, they want to make it into a MOBA, which is disturbing.
And kind of sad, really.
Okay, moving on to the number 1 thing from the What Culture link article: storage capacity. And here's what it's written. It is understandable that as games grow and get more complex, the amount of space they take up expands. However, the storage capacity of the current generation of consoles compared to the amount of space taken up by current games is ludicrous. Looking back at the PS3, you can have near enough of 100 games, often more, without so much as a blink. But then you look at the PS4 and how it struggles to even cope with 10. It is frustrating and incredibly annoying.
Well, I mean, whose fault is that? That's the developer's fault. It's on the developers and the publishers, because the developers don't want to use any compression technology, and they just want to do a lazy port. There's no optimization. There's no code optimization for it to be on consoles.
Have they ever heard of optimization? Oh wait, that's not in their vocabulary. How about we look it up together, shall we?
I mean, the late Satoru Iwata was great at compressing data for one single game.
Well, basically cleaning up your code. Don't have redundancies. Have clean edits. He was pretty good at it. I think everyone these days, I think the developer, because basically people are chasing easy versus
efficient.
Well, easy versus proper. Because sometimes shit that's not easy, that's proper is not easy, and sometimes things that are easy definitely aren't proper. Like it's easy to just take the PC version of a game that's 50, 60 gigabytes and port it over to the PS4, the Xbox One. That's easy. Proper is to actually optimize the code so that it runs well on the system, and it doesn't take 60 damn gigs of space to do it.
And also a little bit of a side rant on this part. Put your games on the beeping cartridge or disc instead of having it be downloaded only.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at you, Capcom. Which is there. I mean, that's even more egregious. It's like, how the hell are you gonna sell someone a game, right, and give them half the game for this much, and then the other half for this much? That's just some
Oh,
bullshit.
you try